Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live in the Hive. Thanks for joining me this evening. We have got a very good show ahead, so you don't want to miss a thing this evening. The sun is out. Can you see that behind me? We've got sun in the Hive. What a glorious July evening it is. Well, it is hoping to be right now. Please, fingers crossed, it stays in for the weekend. So on tonight's show, we've got lots of things that are planned for you. And of course, I am joined by my regular team of mini-me's. So who better than to start the night off this evening than our wonderful mini-me, Harry. And he's going to tell us what's on the show. What's on the show, Harry, tonight?
Tonight's show, we've got Erica James and Martin Kaye.
Oh, we certainly have. We have got those two fabulous guests joining us. Erica James, a best-selling author, and Martin Kaye, an all-round showman. So we've got some songs, we're going to have some laughter, and also lots and lots of gossip as usual. But if you've been watching the news this week, you may have seen something which caught my eye. Now, I love dogs. All right. At the minute, I have got my very first pet. As a grown-up, I have got a dog, a frog. No, it's not a frog. It's a frog. It's half a Frenchie, half a pug, and he is called Bear. He is the love of my life. Sorry, my husband, but he's now 8 months old. So anything to do with pets and dogs, I am on it. So any dog lovers out there might be interested in the dream job. Oh yes, take a look at this and see if it tickles your fancy. Genius, isn't it? Oh my God. You know, I'm really tempted to apply for that role. The guys at yappy.com, the online store for lots of personalized pet products. Oh, I think they've come up with a real gem here. It's £24,000 a year to be the chief puppy officer. And you just have to be really good at tickling tummies. I can do that. So I might throw my hat in the ring there. So if you do fancy the job, you saw all the details up on there. And you know what? If you get it, please come on the show and let me know and say it was from this show that you did. Anyway, enough of the madness and enough of the puppy love. Let's introduce our first guest this evening in the Hive. She is truly fantastic. I honestly think she is just the most brilliant author. My mum is currently reading one of her books and she said, please don't let Erica give away the end. I was like, no, of course you won't do. So welcome to the Hive, the wonderful Erica James.
Hello there. Hi. Now, which book was your mother reading? Just so that I don't give anything away.
No, she is reading Summer at the Lake.
Oh, okay. Well, let me say, no.
Oh, honestly, she said to me, you must say hello to Erica. I am a huge fan.
Oh. And I can't tell you how much I enjoyed writing that book because two settings which I absolutely adore, Oxford and Lake Como. I mean, it was just such a joy to write.
Well, actually, that actually brings me on to one of the questions I was going to ask you. So Lake Como is your other home, isn't it? And what a beautiful place to have another home in Italy.
It's not too shabby. Not that I've been there for 18 months or so. But yes, it is idyllic. Everything that you've ever read or ever seen about it is absolutely true. It's lovely. And the first time I ever went to the lake, I fell in love with it. And I actually went there to do book research for a much earlier book, Gardens of Delight, and just loved it. Absolutely adored it. And there we are. There we have a picture of it. That's sort of near near my apartment. When I go,
How can you not love that, Erica?
I know, and just everything that goes hand in hand with that is just bliss. Although, it's funnily enough, you'd think I would have really missed that with our current situation, but I haven't. It's really weird. Yes, it's very strange. I've been sort of so busy here, I think, and enjoying myself.
Because you're in Suffolk now, but you used to be from my neck of the woods.
Absolutely, and that's how we met. It was at a charity event, wasn't it?
It was.
About 10 years ago.
Don't count those years, Erica. I remember.
Like yesterday.
I remember talking to you at the time because authors really intrigue me. I just think it's amazing to be able to, have that patience to write a book and then keep doing that and doing wonderful books. But I was trying to get into one of your books and become a character. I was like, oh, do you think I could be one? But where do you get that inspiration from for your character?
Sometimes the most obvious situations where I meet someone, you think, oh, well, that's going to be a character. That person is crying out to be a character. And somehow it never works. It's more often, it's someone I will meet who turns out to be a subsidiary character, just a sort of a little walk-on character who just moves the plot on a little bit, maybe. And actually, those are the characters that I have the most fun with. Yes, especially when I've been on holiday somewhere quite sort of glitzy and glam, and people watching as one does. And yes, I've done that many a time. I've made notes of someone. Just take that home with me.
Anybody realizes that they are a character in your book? Have you had any kind of friends that may have gone, Erica, is Kaye to me?
No, that's never happened. Friends have told me things, and it's really frustrating. They will tell me this most extraordinary thing that has just happened to them, and then they'll suddenly remember what I do for a living, and they'll say, "Oh, but you mustn't write about that." Sometimes I've waited a few years, and then I've turned it upside down and twisted it round and come at it from a different angle. And I've managed to use the core of what they've told me in an unexpected way. But yes, that's happened many, many times over the years. But friends, I've never sort of taken a friend sort of wholesale, put them in a book. I might have taken something that they've said or done and thought, well, that's very interesting. And then I've just taken that. I am like a magpie. I steal anything that's bright and shiny. Yeah.
Now, have you always written? When did you start doing it professionally?
Right. Oh, you use that dirty word, professionally. I've never written professionally in my life. I'm a complete amateur and have just managed to get away with it.
I'd like to say Sunday Times best-selling author. Now, that is a title that you would like to drop. Come on, that's like amazing.
It's a really weird thing. I never dreamt that I would be a paid writer. I never thought I'd make my living from doing something that is a dream job. When it's going well, it's a dream job. When it's not going quite so well, it's like, oh, let me do something else. But it's just. So I've forgotten what the question is. I've been carried away with. Oh yeah, I'm a professional.
When did you start writing?
Yeah, I started writing, and there's usually a catalyst that will trigger that moment when somebody starts writing, whether it's, I've known people who've been made redundant and they've taken up the pen. For me, it was because, and this is sort of fairly well documented, that I was unhappy. I was in a very, it was a hard time in my life. Marriage going wrong, but not really understanding what was going wrong. And so I'd always loved to read and thought that it was just a crazy thought one day that if I love to read and I lose myself in a book, could I do this? Could I lose myself in writing a book? And I always say that wasn't arrogance that made me think that I could possibly do that. It was sheer ignorance. It was just this love of losing myself in a story. So really it boils down to escapism. I wanted to escape what was going on in the real world around me. So by creating a world of my own on the page and a world that I could control, that was really all that. I didn't know that was going on inside my head. I couldn't have articulated that. It's only with hindsight I can piece together that's what was going on for me.
Wow. I mean, that's really interesting, because us as readers, we read the novels for escapism. You provide the escapism for us as well.
Yeah. And so this past year or so, I've just continued doing what I always do, which is writing. And I've managed to escape the worst of what's going on. I'm very fortunate. I'm naturally self-contained. I've been living on my own for many years now, ever since, my sons grew up and flew the nest. So I didn't have any of those sort of shocks that many other people had, and in a very lucky situation, nice house, nice garden, plenty of space, just me, and I could just knuckle down and lose myself in the world I was creating.
Well, you have released a number of books. You're on book number, let me tot it all up, you're on book 24. You're editing book 24 right now. And
reading, yeah,
and starting number 25. Wow.
Well, I'm on the final draft of book 25. It's weird. There is always a period of time when there's more than one book on the go. There could I have over the years. At one point, I've had 3 books in my head, because sort of proofreading one that I'd finished before. I'm promoting maybe the paperback of the one before that. Sorry, I'm going off stage here. And then I'm writing a new one. So there could be 3 books. And there have been times when I've been promoting a book and someone has asked me a question and I can't even remember the name of the main character. It's like, someone got a copy of the book, please? Because there's only so much information I can keep in my head at one time.
I did lots of things to juggle. Now, talking about going and meeting the fans, I know you've got a wealth of fans and they're very, very loyal to you, Erica. What's it like when you get to meet them and do those book signings?
On the whole, I always say that I have the nicest readers. Never use the F word, fans. I always say readers, because that doesn't sound quite so, I don't know, I feel more comfortable that way. Lovely, especially the ones who've been with me since book 1. And gosh, we've traveled some distance together, and they're still with me. But then there are the nutters who come along to some of my talks.
Are they really?
Oh yes.
Oh, tell me more.
Over the years, I have had some very strange people come along. They absolutely are clearly not readers of my books. They do not fit the profile in any way, which means usually they're men. I've had some strange encounters.
Wow.
One guy heckled me. I have to say that was in Buxton. He became known as the Buxton heckler. He stood up at the back of this library where I was giving a talk. He said, "Well, you've written all these books. I've never heard of you."
Really? Get out.
And then he came back with more, and he said, "How much do you earn?" And I just quietly muttered to myself, "Not enough. Not enough."
Do you know what? That has really surprised me, because you don't expect that. But I suppose you have to be ready for anything. But you've released books in so many countries, and this fascinates me as well, really. It's like, what's it like seeing your book cover kind of like this?
I know, yes. Dutch one, that would be Dutch letters from the part. Oh yes, Norwegian, yes.
Oh.
I remember the first time, well, actually, with my very first book, it was a bestseller in Sweden, which was a big surprise, and it was very popular in Germany. And it was like, oh my goodness, how's that happened? But it was when the sort of the more of the what we term as the old Eastern Bloc countries started buying women's fiction. They were sort of able to, and they wanted what they saw as soft women's fiction, which mine would come into that, although at times it's a bit hard because I am known for bumping characters off left, right, and centre. I do have a habit of that. Nobody's safe in my hands, but generally known, writing nice books. So when it's countries like Latvia started buying the books, it just seemed really like, wow, gosh, how has this happened? But Norway is the most extraordinary. I have I've been number 1 there and number 4 and that's not to boast. That's just me being totally surprised by that happening. And the Norwegians love to read. They adore to read. And every Easter they go off to their cabins in the woods, and sometimes without power or anything like that. And but they take books with them. Easter is a massive market for books, and because that's when they go. They have a really sort of good length of holiday, and they go off and read. They go off and hike and read. Amazing.
Well, you know who else has a great love of books? My son Harry.
Oh, how wonderful.
Harry is 6 years old. He's about to turn 7 in October, and he just adores reading, always has. And we love it. We really encourage it. And he likes to do book reviews on this show here on Live in the Hive. So he has got a question for you. So are you ready for this, Erica?
Yes, standing by.
As you see here, I have got my new David Walliams book, and I read it all in just 3 days, and it is a big book, Mega Monster. And can you give me some tips to be an author too? Because I'm really good at writing books.
Wow. A mega book. He read that in 3 days.
He really did. Honestly, he was loving that book so much.
Oh, well, David Walliams has really captured the imagination of children. And my advice, and this is to anyone who aspires to being an author, is to read, and read as much as you can to just fill your head with ideas and be inspired. Don't then go and rewrite a book, but just be inspired. What is it about David Walliams' books that Harry enjoys?
I think it's the creativity, and the characters as well.
Because those are the things that he needs to explore himself, to create his own characters that he wants to spend time with. Because that's what I do, with my work. Having said that, it's not just the nice characters I want to spend time with. It's quite the nasty characters as well, because they're such fun. I wouldn't want to be with these people, don't get me wrong. But
they're good to write.
Yes, definitely. And to understand why they do these terrible things. But yes, you need to create a little mini universe where you want to be. Well,
absolutely. Do you know what? I'm going to tell Harry that, and let's see, fingers crossed.
Yes. Absolutely.
Who knows in the future, Erica?
Watch this space, as they say.
But we do have to watch this space with you because, you have got a book out at the moment. You've got Letters from the Past. Now, that was out earlier this year, wasn't it? Yes. And as you say, you are proofreading number 24 as we speak. Have you got any little nuggets you can share, or is your lips tightly sealed as to what we can expect?
I can't
Erica, I thought we were friends.
I can't share the title, not even with you, Michelle, much as I would like to, because it's been totally vetoed. It's a brilliant title, I have to say. This is one of those rare instances where I didn't come up with the title. Most of my books I have, and one other didn't. But with this one, my editor, she read the manuscript and we were talking about titles, and then she just sort of emailed me one day and she said, Erica, what about this title? And I just knew, perfect. But I can't tell you what it is.
You tease, you absolute tease.
It's 3 words.
Yeah, that's as much as we're going to get. It's 3 words. Now, final question from me. Obviously, you've won Most Romantic Novel Award. You have hit the Sunday Times best-selling list. Would the ultimate be a movie? Turning your books into a movie?
You were going to ask me that. Oh, not necessarily, because a bad adaptation of a book, nobody likes that. No, the author certainly doesn't, and the audience doesn't. If it's a beloved book, the readers really like it, and then a film is made, or an adaptation for the TV. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't be that daft, because you would just travel in the hope that maybe it would be sort of brilliantly done. And they have, there've been plenty of books which have been turned into wonderful films. Jojo Moyes', Me Before You, great example. Although, I'm sure there were critics of the film that they preferred the book. But it would be quite nice. I'd quite like Tell It to the Skies to be turned into a film. I've always, in fact, Sarah Lancashire did the audio of that book, and I was invited to go to the studio when she was doing it. And she was just wonderful. She got the voice just right for my characters in it. And there was one scene when I was just listening in, and I was watching her the other side of the glass, and she was just doing it so well. I started crying because it was so moving. And it wasn't that I had written something that was so moving. It was the way she was reading it or narrating. It was lovely. And when she'd finished the work, she did say to me, she said, "Oh, this should be made into a film." But it never has.
Well, I think that is just a guarantee that we need to see that one. Absolutely. And she must have loved that response as an actress, to have the author in tears like that.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether she saw. I was probably a bit embarrassed and thinking, "Pull yourself together, Erica." But that's probably one of my favourites, or that's ever been narrated, because I have to say, over the years there've been some slight not so good ones. But,
well, we'll forget those. We'll forget those. Absolutely. Oh, it's been wonderful chatting to you. Thank you so much for being on the show. And please do come back and join us again when your next book is out, which is 3 words.
Yes, and it will be next year, next spring.
Brilliant. Well, let's make a date for then. And until then, stay safe and take care, Erica, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, do you know what? Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Erica, so much for being in the Hive. Brilliant woman, amazing books. If you have never read an Erica James book, please go out and get one. Either go to the library, go and buy one. They are amazing. They just make you feel just great inside. And those settings that she talked about are just wonderful. So brilliant to have her in the Hive. Now, coming up, we have got Martin Kaye. But before that, we have got, we've got to go back to the mini-me's, I think, because we've not seen enough of them this evening. And of course, you can't have one without the other, can you? So we've seen a lot of Harry tonight. But what about Daisy and her fact of the week?
So here I am in Harry and Daisy's veg patch. And as you can see, we're growing a lot of stuff here. We've got some carrots, we've got some black currants down there, we've got some chilli over there, and my favourite, the tomatoes. So my fact is based on tomatoes today. My fact is that there's 10,000 varieties of tomato in the world, including some very wacky ones like pink, purple, black, and even yellow. I think it's time for tomatoes. Back to you.
She She's so cheeky. But look at our garden. It's really coming on, isn't it? Well, she'll be back with more facts of the week and next week. But as I promised you, we have got a showman and a half in the house this evening. He is the one, the only, Martin Kaye. Welcome to the Hive.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hi, Michelle. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? It's so good to have you here this evening.
It's a pleasure.
Yay! I love the fact you are by the piano. You are a pianist. You are, love it. You know, you a songwriter. You sing. You pretty much do the whole lot, Martin. But we're here tonight because you have got a fantastic show that is coming to Manchester. It's on very soon at the Bowden Rooms in Altrincham. Tell us about It's a Little Bit Funny.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. Secondly, that's the only chord I know, so that'll probably not be very interesting for the show. The show is called It's a Little Bit Funny, or I suppose preceded with Elton John. Any fans of Elton John should love it. Any non-fans of Elton John, just come anyway, because how long has it been since you've been at the theatre? So the show is, I'm a lifelong Elton John fan. It's kind of in the blood because my dad's a piano player and he always was playing Elton John music. I mean, I don't want to give too much away about the show, but the show itself is told through Elton's music. It's a little bit of my story, it's a little bit of Elton's story, and it's based on a night in Las Vegas. And I will say no more.
Oh, it sounds really exciting. I absolutely love Elton John's music. And, you know, you have touted yourself with quite, you know, a big title here. The biggest Elton John fan.
Yeah, I mean, I even would have to compete with my dad on that one. But yes, I'm in good company, I feel. I may not be the biggest, but I'm definitely, his music has been very profound for me. And is the reason that I do this for a living. So I don't know if necessarily biggest, but definitely one of the biggest for sure.
Well, let's take a look at you in action. Now, if that doesn't put a smile on anyone's face, I don't know what will. I want to go in that audience and I just want to be bopping along.
And you can't help it, really, because the music speaks for itself. I do want to make point out on the trailer, right at the end, the dates are wrong. Those are from previous dates that we've had to, because of COVID, move around. So, yeah. But yeah, it's the most fun. I get all of my joy from being on stage and being in front of an audience that wants to sing along with whatever we're doing. So if you come in, please come and get involved.
Oh, absolutely. Do you know what? I'm going to be there in an absolute heartbeat. We definitely need a night like this. And you as a performer, Martin, must need it more than anybody because, you know, the past 18 months in terms of performing, you know, you wouldn't have been able to have done that, will you?
It's been a profound void in my and many of my artist friends' lives. This is the reason that we exist, I suppose, and this is where we get our love. You know, this is where our love is, our heart is, our soul truly is. So to be deprived of that for the longest time, I mean, you know, I've seen a lot of other friends who are in different industries going to work or working from home. Or you're not going to work, but working from home or still able to continue working. And it's been really tough to not be able to, I mean, I've done some, from this space, I've done some virtual shows, some streams like this. but you're playing to a silent screen. And as much as it's wonderful to see all the faces there and to see people applauding, even if you can't hear them because they're on mute, it's just, it doesn't even come close to being in a room with an audience. I truly believe that music is real life magic. And when you're in that room, something special happens between an audience and a performer. And you can't replace that. And I think everyone's kind of maybe been reminded of that over the last 18 months, that they really love that and need that.
Oh, 100%, because you get that adrenaline, you get that buzz, not only as a performer, as the person in the audience, you know, you can feel that electricity.
Absolutely.
Like, you performed though, didn't you? Was it a couple of weeks ago for the first time? And wasn't that like a really emotional experience to get back on the stage in front of a live audience?
I can't even put into words how powerful and profound that moment was. It was in Cheltenham. We played at the Everyman Theatre in Cheltenham, and it was the 21st of May, so just after the last phase of restrictions had been eased, just after the 17th of May. So it was the first show in the country, maybe in the world. I like to think so. But it was really powerful because the audience, who were socially distanced, we were having a moment, a very unique, special moment together. I can't really put it into words, but I did get very emotional at the end, and that doesn't happen very often, that I would actually not be able to get through a song. But that did happen at the end of one of the final song. I just lost I lost myself a bit, because I just was so wrapped up in the emotion of the whole thing. And it was incredible because the audience just got right behind me and they were cheering me on, and they just knew how special that moment was for us all, not just for me. And I finished strong. So I mean, it's all down to the relationship between an audience and a performer, and it's. And
I imagine it's going to be really special when you come to the Bowden Rooms on the 21st of July, because this is your hometown, Martin. This is where you grew up, in Manchester, yeah?
For sure, yeah. I mean, this is. Yeah, I suppose performers talk about this. It will be the same for any performer. Any opportunity to be able to play in your hometown. For me, I left home to go off and kind of hone my craft at the age of 19, and I never. I would come home for visits, but I'd never performed at home in Manchester in a professional capacity at all. So I mean, I went over to the States. I lived in America for a while. I lived in Vegas. I toured around. I did ships for a while, cruise ships. So I never really had the opportunity. So when the opportunity comes up to play in Manchester, I will savor it. I will soak it in, and I will love it.
Oh, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic thing. You're on for, is it 4 nights? It's till the 24th?
Correct. 21st till the 24th. For sure.
Brilliant. I'm going to put the website up so people know where to get tickets a little bit later on. Now, you talked then about your past career, which is phenomenal. I mean, Vegas is part of your journey. You starred in the Tony Award-winning musical $1 Million Quartet. I mean, wow, was that the changing point for your career?
I'd have to say it is, yeah, for sure. I mean, I see all the different points in my career. I can pinpoint specific moments that I definitely see as milestones. And when I booked the role of Jerry Lee Lewis for the first national tour of $1 Million Quartet, just after it came off Broadway, there I am with all my hair.
Was that a wig?
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, it was. That moment was a kind of a culmination of all the hard work I'd done up to that point. And I couldn't believe that I got the role, because I was up against all these Broadway trained actors, because it was the audition was in New York. So I was in the waiting room in this audition, and I saw all these performers around me who'd been to musical theatre school and all this business, and I'd never done that. I mean, I've always loved it, but I've never trained in it in terms of acting, trained in the piano and singing. But so I just was like, there's no way I'm going to get this role, but I'll go in, I'll have fun. And I came out of the room, and then I got a call back a week later, and then I got the role. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, yes, I definitely see that as a turning point for sure.
And there you are with the guys in the musical. Because if anybody hasn't heard of it, oh my gosh, it is absolutely fantastic. These are the greats. You've got Elvis there. You've got Jerry Lee Lewis. Who else have we got in that picture?
So jumping off the bass in the blue shirt, that's Carl Perkins. He wrote Blue Suede Shoes, and the show is largely based around him. And on the right there is Johnny Cash. And then right in the middle, in the bass, is the bass player, who is Carl Perkins' brother. It's the most wonderful show. I mean, for those who haven't seen it, it's just the most wonderful show. It's a snapshot of rock and roll history. We were actually meant to be, so I did a year and a half of the US tour. Then I did 4 years in Las Vegas, which was an absolute dream come true. And then came over to the UK and did the UK tour, again, getting to play in Manchester at the Palace Theatre, which was, I can't even put that into words. And it's just the most incredible, high energy, rock and roll, snapshot moment of history. And the show's just really fun. So I hope to do it again at some point. We weren't meant to do it last year. And then we all know what happened.
I know, but it has given you that opportunity, hasn't it, to kind of focus on It's a Little Bit Funny and get that together and take that on tour, because you are going on tour with it, not just Manchester. You're going beyond, aren't you?
Yeah. We've got a few dates coming up. I mean, I've got to make a major shout out to Katie Lipson, because Katie Lipson of Aria Entertainment, she's the producer of the show. For those who don't know about Katie Lipson, she's been, for the last decade or so, been working as a producer, creating incredible theatre around the UK. And she's a pioneer. She really, really is in what she's doing. Definitely do some online looking at Katie and at Aria Entertainment, because it's really quite incredible. The Addams Family being one of the big shows that she's done.
We had her as our guest on the launch show.
Yes, of course you did. So, and it's funny because you went to school with Katie, right? But although kind of...
Well, you told me that I went to school with her. We'd never had this conversation, me and Katie. So it is a small world, but as Mancunians, I think we're all connected in some way.
We're all connected for sure. And so I've known Katie a long time, and she, during this pandemic, has been fighting to keep theatre alive, particularly our show. And I'm just thrilled. I'm so excited. We got Manchester coming up, so the Bowden Rooms, 21st till the 24th. Then we've got there's a new theatre outdoor space called the Stage in the Park in Watford, and that's on the 29th of July. And then I've got something that's coming up in September in Colchester, and then October. We're still working on more dates, and we're going to do what we can. It's interesting at the moment because people, I think, are a little afraid to buy tickets. They don't know, firstly, what's going to happen if the ticket's going to be cancelled or not. But secondly, there's a fear about going to the theatre, I think, and going into crowded spaces. And I get that. I fully understand that. But in all of the shows that I've been lucky enough to do in the last year, I've done a handful. It's all been taken care of so beautifully by the theatres. The protocols are taken very seriously, COVID protocols, and it's been amazing, really. So don't be afraid, embrace it, come out. We're back, baby, we're back.
Now, a couple of questions that I want to ask you, which have been burning for me, is: have you ever met the man himself, Mr. Elton John?
I can't possibly say that right now because that would give too much away about the show. I can't.
You're as Erica.
3 words. No. No, I can't give anything away. Just come and see the show and you'll hear all about it.
Okay, but what you can show us tonight is your odd socks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I say this because Martin is known for not only his wonderful music, but your love of wearing odd socks. How did this come about, Martin?
I don't know, but it's definitely become a bit of a thing.
Have you got odd socks on now?
I don't wear socks in the house. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I do.
Oh, genius! Absolutely. My gosh! Absolutely.
So I don't really know where it came from. I've always been. I've never been really a conformist. I don't really like to conform to any kind of rules, and so I suppose this is one of the rules I can break without really causing any too much harm. And I've always done that. So back in the day when I used to be in the piano bars on the ships, I would get up from behind the piano. I'd run around the room and I'd jump on furniture and I'd jump on people and I'd jump on the piano. And I would obviously be wearing shoes, and I'd come across, sometimes I'd come to the piano the next day and I'd see scratches on the piano. So I ended up taking my shoes off and I stopped playing the piano in shoes. And that just kind of stuck. And so then people would just come up to me. Obviously, my socks would be on display, and people would come up to me and they'd be like, "Ooh, what socks are you going to wear tomorrow?" And I was like, "I didn't know that was an interesting question, but I don't know, and I haven't planned it."
It's brilliant. So we're going to see your odd socks in the show. Fantastic.
Sure. I mean, that's really the thing I think people look forward to the most. Forget the music, it's the socks, really.
We're going to have a sneak peek of one of the songs from the show to play us out of the show in a few moments' time. But I know I have got a mini-me waiting to ask you a question. So let's end with a question from our Daisy.
Daisy.
Hi, Martin. I've heard you like Elton John. Well, have you got any other favourite singers apart from Elton John? If you're wondering, mine is Ariana Grande. Bye.
Thank you, Daisy. Great question. Firstly, Ariana Grande. Obviously, she did the it was her concert where the Manchester bomb was a few years ago, and I was away at the time, and I have this song called Greater Manchester, which I wrote with a friend of mine, and it's all about Manchester, and I hadn't really released it properly at that point. And then when that happened at the Ariana Grande concert, I then released it again, and I just all of the proceeds that I got from anything from it, I sent to the victims, the families. It's I'll send you some information about the song and everything. Anyway, my favorite singers. I love all of the old swing stuff. So Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson was a massive influence back in the day when I was growing up, really, really young. My first concert was a Phil Collins concert, but I wouldn't necessarily say he was one of my favorites. I love Michael Bublé. I love Jamie Cullum. I love Bruno Mars. I love things that are just. I'm not a massive fan of much today. I like a lot more of the older stuff. Obviously, Jerry Lee Lewis, rock and rolls. But yeah, and it's interesting. This ties into what Erica was saying about reading, and just make sure you read. Well, it's the same with music. For me, I just listen all the time to as much as I can of all different kinds of music, because that just broadens your mind and it broadens your ear, and then it helps me with my writing as well. So yeah, thanks Daisy for the question.
I know, she's got a great answer there, and you're a man after my own heart. Big fan myself of Bruno Mars, Michael Bublé, all of that. So, oh, fantastic! I've got myself a new playlist along with your songs as well, Martin. Well, we'll say bye for now. Good luck with It's a Little Bit Funny on at the Bowden Rooms from the 21st to the 24th of July, and we can also go to your website as well and find out some of the dates when the rest of the tour is. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy your time in Manchester. Come back soon.
I will. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. The lovely Martin Kaye. Oh, I've had two fantastic guests on this evening. I hope you've really enjoyed the show. We have had our wonderful mini-me's along with us this evening. So we've got to, say goodbye to them, haven't we?
From Daisy. Bye from Harry. See you next week.
Should we have them back? Of course. It wouldn't be live in the Hive without Daisy and Harry on the show. I'm sure you think that too. But we have a brand new team member who is joining the show too. And it is great to announce we have got a wonderful lady. You might recognize her. And she is going to be being on the show as of next week. And you don't want to miss it.
Hi, I'm Irene Estrie. And I'd love you to put your positive pants on and join me in Live in the Hive, where I'm going to bring my 40 years experience in fitness and well-being and hopefully wisdom to you regularly. Tune in.
she's going to be fabulous. Oh my God, I cannot wait for her to join the show. And next week, we have got some great guests lined up for you too. Are you a fan of this show, Early Doors, the BBC hit programme? Phil Mealy is going to be joining me to talk about a very special event happening for the Christie. And on top of that, another BBC One programme, yes, Dragon's Den. We have got the winner of Dragon's Den. She bagged herself a dragon and she hasn't looked back. It is Helen Davis from Easy Tot. So you really don't want to miss a thing. Join us next week on Live in the Hive, but I am going to leave you tonight with the amazing sounds of Martin Kaye. This is a sneak peek from the show. It's a little bit funny and this is truly wonderful. Check out the piano playing here on Benny and the Jets. See you next week.
Just kidding.
Benny and the Jets.